Hey squad, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome boo, you are in the right place. I'm your girl XZ, and in this video we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to make this beautiful piece. It's called a granny square, and it's one of the designs for an outfit that I'm currently making. This is going to be a 3-part series, and this is the first video. In this video I'm going to be teaching you how to make the granny square, how to actually make it, and then in the second video I'm going to be teaching you how to turn it from this rough looking work into this perfect looking granny square in the second part. And then in the last part of the series I'm going to be giving a crash course, kind of a beginner friendly tutorial on the different types of stitches and knots and everything it basically took to make this granny square. So if you're excited to hear that, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like the video if you like the video, and if you don't like the video, still like the video, okay? Subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn on your post notifications so you know every time I post a new video. Don't forget to share this with friends and family, and then drop a comment down below. I'd like to know what you think, if you love this, if you tried it and all of that. So come on, let's get into the video. So for this granny square I used different stitches for each of the layers. For the first layer I used double crochet and treble crochet. For the second layer I used incomplete double crochets. For this layer I used a puff stitch, and for the last one I did a half double crochet. Now each of the layers I decided to give a different name. I called the yellow part the bud, the baby pink part the first flower petal, the dark pink part the second flower petal, and the black part the square. The black yarn is the major color I'm using for the complete outfit that I'm going to be making, so I decided to use that for the square. And then I decided to use 2 shades of a different color for the middle parts, which is the baby pink and dark pink. I believe it goes well with black. And then yellow in the middle just gives a little different pop of color to the whole outfit, and it's not very conspicuous. It's a very small part, so that's what I recommend you doing. You can do anything you want, you can use any colors you want, but I just feel using this technique works for whatever color combination you're going to do. So I recommend whatever is the major color you want to use for the whole outfit, make that the square. Then pick 2 shades of another color that goes well with that main color you chose, and then use a separate color that goes with all 3 of them for the middle part, for the bud, so that gives it a little pop of color. Now as I said earlier, in the third video of this series I'm going to give an in-depth tutorial of all the stitches I used. So let's get on to what you need for this project. You need your yarn in different colors, a crochet hook. I'm using Yeye Extra chunky yarn. It's thicker than the regular yarn. Then I'm using a 4mm hook or a USG 6. You'll need a pair of scissors to cut out your yarn for each layer, and you'll also need a crochet needle. That's all. That is basically all you need for this work. Your yarn, your crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and your crochet needle. In the second video of this series I'll be showing you how to use the crochet needle and your crochet hook, and that is to seal in the edges of your work. So let's get into the first part of the whole granny square, which is the flower bud. To start this flower bud, I'm going to start with a slip knot. Every crochet work starts with a slip knot. Now make sure you leave out a long tail, you know, so that you can seal in your work, and at the end of the day, over time, it doesn't come loose. So make sure you leave out a long tail. Now that we've done that, we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now that we've done that, I'm going to slip stitch into the very first chain I did. A slip stitch is basically a way of like sealing off whatever work you do, like bringing it into a round whenever you're making something that is round. So after doing that, I have a circle now, like a ring, which is going to be how I do every other granny square, how I start them. Now I'm going to do 12 half double crochets, but first of all I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. This chain 2 is going to serve as my very first half double crochet, so I'll go ahead to do 11 more half double crochets into the ring and slip stitch at the end. Slip stitch into the very top, the top part of that chain 2 that I made initially. Slip stitch into that knot, and that will seal up or sew off the whole work and make it a perfect circle. Take your time, it can be a bit tight, so just try as much as possible not to rip off your yarn. Okay, now yarn over and pull through and pull out another long tail. So at the beginning and end of every layer, make sure to leave a long tail that we'll use to close it off. Now this is the first part. We are done with this. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done. Now we're going to the second layer, which is the first flower petal. To start off this layer, put in your crochet hook and tie your yarn on the wrong side. Now you can do a single knot or a double knot, it doesn't really matter, just make sure it's tight enough. You tie it tight so it doesn't come off, and as I've mentioned earlier, leave a long tail, don't forget to do that. Now yarn over and we're going to chain 2. Sorry, I lost some footage there, but chain 2, and to make the puff stitch, you're going to just yarn over into the loop, pull through severally, whatever amount of times you want to use, and then stretch it so that it's the same length with the chain 2. Yarn over into the loop, pull through, stretch it, yarn over, pull through in that same loop. You're just going to do that like 4 times. Stretch it, you see it's the same length, then yarn over and pull through all those loops, then seal off that loop, yarn over and pull through that single loop on your hook, and that is a puff stitch. Go into the next loop and repeat the same thing. This time around you're not doing another chain 2, just yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, stretch, don't forget to stretch it, yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. and then yarn over, pull through that singular loop again to tie it off. And that's all you're going to do for the rest of the other loops. We are going to do 12, just as we've done for every round, every layer. We are doing 12 of each pattern. I'm going to take a step and do the rest off camera, and I'll come back when I'm doing the very last puff stitch. Now I'm at the end of the work, and I'm going to do my very last puff stitch here, right here. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first chain 2 I made, just like we did with the flower bud. Now we're halfway done, guys. The next step is to make the second flower petal. Now this pattern is done with incomplete double crochets, and no, it's not the same with half double crochets. So tie in your yarn as we've done before. Now I always like tying my yarn like a loop after where I finished off the previous layer, as you can see. So you can start anywhere, you can start in the same place, in the same loop, but I just prefer like starting a loop after where I closed off the previous layer. So just go ahead and tie your knots. We're going to chain 2. And that's going to count as our very first incomplete double crochet. We are going to do 3 more in the same loop. For each loop we are doing 4 incomplete double crochets in every loop, and then we chain 2 before going into the next loop. Now yarn over, pull through 2 and leave 2 loops on your crochet hook. Now in a full double crochet you're supposed to loop in, yarn over and pull through those second loops, but we're not going to do that, so it's incomplete. Now yarn over, pull through again, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we have 3 loops on our hook. Incomplete. That makes our second incomplete double crochet. Okay, we're going to do 1 more. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we have 4 incomplete double crochets with the chain 2, and we have 4 loops on our hook. So yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. Now chain 2, 1, 2. In the next loop we are going to be doing 4 incomplete double crochets again. Now in this case we'll have 5 loops on our hook, unlike this first one that we had 4 loops, and that's because we did chain 2 instead of starting off with the usual incomplete double crochet. But in this next one now we will have 4 incomplete double crochets but 5 loops on the hook. So make sure you keep counting and stretch it so it's the same length, the same way we did with the puff stitch. Always stretch it up. We've done 2 incompletes. This is the third one. Yarn over, pull through, stretch, yarn over, pull through, and stretch. Now we have 4 incompletes and 5 loops. 1 2 3 4 5 loops on the hook and 4 incomplete double crochets. Now yarn over and pull through all of those 5 loops and chain 2. 1 2. That's all we're going to be doing up until the end of this project, so just keep at it. We are making 12, we've done 2, we've got 10 more to go. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first chain 2 I made. Yarn over and pull through that loop and pull out your yarn. Now when you finish this layer, you'll notice that your work starts to curve in. Just use your hand to stretch it out. Those chain 2s we made in between each pattern will help it stretch properly and not curve. Okay, now we're almost done. We have just one more layer to go. If you've made it this far, well done. Please subscribe if you're new, and we're going to go into the square. Now you'll notice since we started we've been working in a circle, but the name of this pattern is called a granny square. So how do we change this from a circle into a square? It's really simple. With this layer, we are going to be using a combination of double and treble crochets into each loop, and we'll be doing 3 treble crochets, chain 3 and 3 double crochets into one singular loop. Now that chain 3 that's in the middle is what will give us the corner or curve that will turn this whole thing from a circle into a square. So let's start. Secure your knot as I've just done. Don't forget to leave a long tail. Okay, now we are going to start by making chain 4. 2 3 4, and then do a treble crochet. That's where we're going to slip stitch into in this chain 4. So do a treble crochet, yarn over twice on your hook, yarn over through the loop, yarn over 2, yarn over 2, yarn over 2, and that's our second treble crochet. Okay, now we do one more before our chain 3. Pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 3, and we have our first treble crochets. So now we're going to chain 3. You see this curve here? That's the chain 3. So 1 2 3, then do 3 more treble crochets into this loop, just as we did here. So that's what's going to give it that nice bend of a square. One, 2, and 3. So we are done with the first corner. We've made our very first corner of our granny square. Now in the next 2 loops we are going to be making 3 double crochets. These 2 middle loops are 3 double crochets each in each loop. So that's what we are going to repeat, and do that 4 times. So 3 treble crochets, chain 3, 3 treble crochets into one loop. In the next loop 3 double crochets, and in the next loop after that 3 double crochets. So for each 3 loops that's the pattern you're going to repeat until you get to the end of your work, and you'll see that it has turned into a square magically. So keep doing that until we get to the end of your work. So in these last 2 loops, I'm going to make 3 double crochets, and that marks the end of this work. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of this part here. That's the first chain 4 that we initially made, and that's going to seal up the work and will finally be done. Now slip stitch into the very top here of your initial chain 4. Be careful, it might be a bit tight, so just gently slip your hook in there. And we're finally done, guys. This was so easy to make, wasn't it? Hey squad, we finally come to the end of the video. If you loved this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below so I know what you think, how much you love it, and what parts of it you loved. Make sure you subscribe if you're new and join the squad. Turn on your post notifications so you'll know when I drop the next video, which is the second part of this series. And make sure you share this with friends and family. See you in the next video. Bye.